Welcome back. Welcome back to the Detroit is Different podcast studios. And in studio, I got a brother that we was talking about even before we started rolling that's in this space of healthy journeys in life. And the title of the book alone was a hook to say, okay, I want to get this. But then you like couple that up with a lot of the people I meet, between the Detroit Black Farmer Land Fund, the Detroit Black Community Food Sovereignty Network, and just the collard green cook-off itself. I'm running into a lot of folks that they may say, okay, they're more earth tone, they're more granola, they're definitely more health conscious, going on with the traditions of like the Layla Africas and the Dr. Sebis, who a lot of people speak of and uplift. But then it's like, okay, nah, this dude look like, you know what I'm saying? Like he in the crew, like he be at fight night and everything. And then we connected. I was like, I definitely purchased the book. And it was written in a tone and voice that's like right direct in communication. So much more. We definitely gonna unpack. And a Detroiter for sure. Mr. Ray Stone, how you doing today?
Good, man. Can't complain, man. Thanks for having me, bro.
Definitely. And you've been supportive of Detroit is Different. Thank you for that
sure.
as well.
Yeah, for sure. I'm following.
So we always start these with your Detroit story and your people. What brought your people to Detroit and how many generations deep?
Well, my grandmother moved to Detroit way back. So I'm a couple generations deep in Detroit. We always been West Siders. Came from the West Side. I'm trying to think when my grandmother came to Detroit. I can't ever remember, but she came when she was maybe 18 or something like that.
Okay.
She was born in 1902, so this is a while ago. So
a minute ago.
So I'm a Detroiter through and through, and both my parents from Detroit and that's it basically.
All right, we gotta unpack more because these stories always tie roots. Where's your grandma from?
Mississippi.
Whereabouts?
Clarksdale,
Mississippi. You ever been down that way?
We went down that way. It's funny you asked that because I'm into history a lot now. So now I really want to go back there. But we did go back there when I was little. The family had some issues. It was somebody kind of not right in the head. They wouldn't let us in. We took a camper home down there. We went down there, my grandmother, everybody, they wouldn't let us in. We came back and we kind of lost ties with that part of our family. And that was it. So, but I'm really interested in Mississippi. I found out that we have land in Montgomery County, Mississippi. So I'm interested in pursuing that now.
I could definitely see that with the work that you're doing. So,
Definitely.
Grandma here, always West Side. What neighborhood do you remember your grandma home living, where the family most so resided?
They came from, I can't recall the street right now. Cameron Street is where my grandmother lived before, but where I knew her was on Marlowe. It's like 6 Mile and Hubble area. So that's where she always was. That was like grandma's house. That was Big Mama's house, and that's where everybody went and gathered and all that.
Okay, so Marlowe, 6 Mile, we definitely know that community. If people know, my fam more so Finkel in Marlowe. That's like the Cooley neighborhood.
Okay.
But you go up a couple blocks, you almost have the option of Cooley or Mumford a little bit.
Right. Kind of on the borderline. Yeah.
So that neighborhood and that tone, what was it like as you remember your grandmother being in that community just kind of growing up?
It was cool, man, because our whole family would be there. So we would be so deep over there. And it was all love. Everybody was cool on the block. We didn't have a good relationship with a lot of the neighbors that I remember because I was way younger. But everybody was cool. It was family. We could play all up and down the street, around the corner. It was cool. We had a great time coming up over there.
All right. So now I guess let's get into a little bit of your story. Your parents and where did you grow up and stay coming up? How far back do you remember?
Okay. So I was on like the Lodge Freeway and Puritan, like Pinehurst and Puritan area. So it was close to Finkel, Wyoming, which was kind of the rough way. If you go that way, it was kind of rough that way. But we go the other way and it was kind of cool. So I was in that area growing up over there. It was cool.
Okay, and though that community also, as we've talked about before, like real long blocks around there, a very close-knit community that has been poured into for a long time.
Totally.
And even some of the stuff that's happening now that's expanding around there, still not all the way in that community,
Yeah.
but a lot of the people that still exist are organizing and looking to do some things.
Yeah.
What do you remember about being a kid and some of the other kids and some of that feel of childhood, Detroit, that neighborhood?
Now, that neighborhood was my neighborhood, so I knew everybody up and down the block, and we knew this is such and such's house. You can't go in his grass, whatever. It was super cool, and a lot of them I still keep in touch with, the people from that block. I thought about what you were saying, but sadly, all of us moved away from there now. All the families moved away, so nobody owns property over there that I know of anymore. But everybody was cool over there, and we still like family. We were like, came up like family, even our neighbors and that, and we still like family now.
Okay. All right. And during this time, parents, what are your parents doing for work?
My mom works at the Renaissance building when it first opened, like
Wow.
the new Renaissance building. So we were all excited. She would be like, come to work with me. And we would walk through this big towers and we're like, wow, it was cool. It was new, you know? My dad was retired. My dad had retired from Chrysler. He worked for 30 years for Chrysler, retired. So I spent a lot of time with him, and my mom worked at the Renaissance building at IBM downtown.
Okay. All right. Now, we've talked about the Renaissance Center before on here and the opening through Ma Spice's interview because she worked at the Shirt Factory store.
Okay.
And also, we've had other interviews and discussions about the Renaissance Center as right now the either demolition or redevelopment is at hand.
Yeah.
The opening and what that represented, people talking about it being a beacon of hope. What was it like to see that Renaissance Center? Do you remember just like in that grand opening or those early years as a child?
Yeah, it was magical for me. It was like the elevator super tall. It was just like being in, coming from Detroit, we didn't see anything like that. We didn't have big giant. That was like something in New York, which I hadn't traveled, of course, at that time. I hadn't seen anything like it. So it was amazing for me just to see the architecture and the glass. I thought it was amazing. What are your thoughts on the new plans with it?
So my thoughts on what will happen with the demolition or redevelopment is it's going to take a lot of resources from the city of Detroit. So like a lot of these development projects, how our tax money is used to pour into a development that is anchored in the concept of economic advancement or like a economic burst for the city, it's always tough, depending upon knowing that the talent that they usually say is not available in the city of Detroit. So the residents themselves for years are not being hired at the above 51%, 51% hiring mandate that's set from executive order. So that's always tough. The other thing is, when I think of all these office buildings and what's happening just with the workplace itself today, I don't know if people are really going back to that 9 to 5 office building structure, period.
Yeah.
And that's not just even in Detroit. Even the people I know that are in more, I guess, what would I say, affluent or successful economies like a Houston or a Phoenix or a Charlotte, a lot of those people haven't necessarily returned back to office work. So being that a lot of our city is investing in office spaces to make money back, I don't know if that's a good investment right now, as many of the people I know that were in commercial real estate have transitioned to residential real estate, especially during COVID-19. And these are really, I think, domino effects of COVID-19. So if a city government gets holding a bill for something that won't make money, it's kicking the can for demolition, and furthermore using tax dollars of people such as myself to kind of be like Brewster's Millions for these billionaires to do projects.
Right.
I know that's not like a buttoned up response, but that's
I get it.
No, that's the lens I see.
I knew you would have a good perspective on it.
Thank you. So during that time, and then retired father. So that sets a whole different lens, I'm guessing, as I usually always talk about, like just having a retired grandparent, what it's like growing up in that type of household. A retired parent, I assume, changes the whole scope of household chores, when you waking up, when you going to sleep, all types of stuff. What was that, and just the relationship you have with your father?
Well, That was cool, but my dad was real laid back, super laid back. So he wasn't the one to be like, do your homework or do
Right.
he was super cool. He like you as long as you don't get on his nerves, you was cool.
Okay.
So really he said just stay out the way, come back by the street lights or
Mm.
whatever. So I spent most of my time playing sports and whatnot. But so it was super cool. It was different having my dad there. It was super cool though. He would take me to school, pick me up. He'd bring me McDonald's almost twice a week. So I was the coolest kid in school. He'd bring McDonald's to lunch.
Mm.
You know, they eating school lunches.
Yeah.
People smell those fries coming in. They like, who is that?
Yeah.
So I got spoiled in that way. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. And then sports as a kid. What sports you playing?
Basketball mainly.
Mm.
I played everything on the street. You know, I was like the youngest on my block. So everybody else was maybe 2 years older than me. So I was the young fella. So they give me the ball in football. They like, go. Don't stop. Don't choke. I couldn't choke, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I just grew up in that kind of environment. But we played everything, baseball, everything.
Okay. And now talk a little bit about being that youngest on a block with a lot of other peers, especially when it comes to sports, because I'm imagining you're keeping pace with everybody else,
Yeah.
right? But you're still the youngest. So when you possibly go back and play people your age, you're like,
Yeah. Yeah. So when I got to play the kids, I actually went to Catholic school all 12 years.
mhm,
So when I got to play the kids in school, I went to Precious Blood for elementary. That was on Littlefield, 6 Mile and Littlefield.
mhm,
So, and it was right across from King, which was a public school. So those kids were kind of tough. But when I went to Shrine High School and I went to play with those kids, it was like I was playing with little boys or something, you know?
mm,
Because then it was even some white kids and some different, different cultures of people. And I just took it too serious for them. You know, I knew how to cuss, like I
mhm,
knew how to cuss you out, so I didn't play around.
mm.
So
Okay.
I used to get him hell.
All right. So and then Catholic schools and Catholic school journeys as it's been uplifted that many people in Detroit, especially depending upon age, have gone through different parochial schools and its impact in Detroit and just even that scope. What was it like for you?
It was like I said, Precious Blood was like 90% black. So it was almost like a public school in my eyes.
Mhm,
It's the only thing I knew. Now when I went to Shrine, it was a culture shock for me because it was maybe 50-50.
mm,
But I had never been around any I'm saying white, quote unquote. I don't use the term Caucasian kids or whatever. I'm
mhm.
gonna just say white kids for the purpose of conversation. But
Yeah.
so I hadn't been around white kids like that. I didn't know, the way they joke around, a lot of the stuff I just wasn't used to. And they said I walk like a pimp and they laughed at the way I talked. So it was a big culture exchange. And then what was funny when I would come back now I'm back in the hood, trying to talk to a girl. She said, "You talk like a white boy."
Mm,
And I'm like, damn, am I changed? So I didn't understand how I was changed, how the culture was changing me. Was I adapting to it? So it set a lot of bells off in my head. I think about it a lot even to this day, even.
mm. Okay. All right. Now, and then in sports, do you play throughout your school, play sports
hmm
throughout school?
I played ball. I played basketball all throughout, all
Mhm,
12 years. Um, and I got a lot of racist treatment and when I went to Catholic schools. Crazy. I think it really hurt my career that I went to a Catholic school. Because I'll give you an example. One time they bring the JV team in to watch us, the varsity team. So we're playing the little drills. I do a sweet move behind the back. Everything. It was sweet, like I see on TV. All the kids in the JV team, like, oh, they high fiving. I get kicked out of practice.
wow.
We don't need that shit. And I'm like, whereas if I'm at Denby or whatever, they like everybody, the coach high fiving me. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like I knew I was in the wrong culture, but I got kicked out of practice. I cussed the coach out, throw my shirt at him.
Mm,
I had a bad attitude because it was a good move. But I get kicked out. But so I got in trouble like that. And I think it was just because, I was showing out these white kids and they didn't like that.
yeah.
On the other hand, I know I'm being long-winded, forgive me, but on the other hand, I thought about being on the other side. Like if I'm a coach, I got all black kids and it's a white kid that's real good and he's turning everybody out. Well, maybe I got to kind of hate on him a little bit because all the parents, they came to see their kids. They don't want to see this one kid that's different. So I got it from the coach's perspective. My coach had passed, but I wanted to have a beer with him and just tell him I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get the pressure he might have been under on the other side. So just
Yeah.
something I think about.
But in hand, it kind of hurt where you would go even after. Did it even impact how you felt about just playing organized basketball, period?
Um, no, but it's definitely stunted it because he would even tell coaches I had a bad attitude. And I might have had a bad attitude, but the attitude stemmed from something that I wasn't being treated fairly. Like we didn't get along that well, but he needed me on the team, but he didn't really love me on the team.
Yeah.
So it affected I went to a black college definitely after that. I was like, where's the first black college I could find? I'm going, you know.
Okay. Where do you go?
South Carolina State.
What was that experience like?
Okay, now that was live. Now this is live. First of all, it's like 17-1 girls on the campus. So that's enough right there. You could end the story. It was live. And it was just live. It was different for me because I was one of the only kids from Detroit. It might have been 3 or 4 people from Detroit on the campus. So just being from the city down there is real country, Orangeburg, South Carolina. So everything I did was sweet to them. I had on cheap Jordans. They like, ooh, he dressed fresh, everything. And it was just like I was being in Detroit, I'd be whack. But down there, I was the man, you know, so it was cool.
Okay. All right. And South Carolina State, you stay there all 4 years to go through?
No, definitely not. I stayed there maybe a year and a half.
Okay.
I really got jealous, man. I came home and my cousins that I grew up with were still in Detroit. You know, they didn't go away to school, or they went to Eastern Michigan or Wayne State, you know, local. So I really I missed them. You know, I just missed being around my family. So at some point I dropped out. I ended up getting in some trouble down there. Like some beef, some little, I don't know, some wild beef, bro, crazy. But I ended up coming back home as a result of that. And I was glad I did too.
Okay. In South Carolina, if people haven't been, it definitely has a culture that it's just different. You know, Detroit is different. South Carolina is for sure different. If you haven't been, what exists is we talk about racism is a part of the American ethos. It feels different in the South, especially when we think of a place like South Carolina.
Definitely.
When I say the feel, it's here. It's definitely here in this region. Here, it's more like in the closet.
Yeah,
people kind of hide it away.
Right.
There, you feel the like, you know, it's not a whites only sign up.
Yeah, but you feel it. You know which diner you walked in. You're like, this diner is different.
Yes, that's all I was gonna say.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
just those adjustments to the town itself, and how did you make those adjustments?
It was tough for me because I was used to stuff being open late. You know what I'm saying? At 9 o'clock, everything shuts down but the one gas station. They won't let but 2 students in at once. You know, we're in college. It's not like they do that sometimes at a party store in the hood. But we're in college. It's 2 in the morning. I walked all the way to this gas station, 2 miles. I'm coming in this store. You know what I'm saying? They like, no, 2 at a time. I'm like, I didn't come here to steal, bro. I'm coming in this store. So I used to get into a little beef like that in the town. It was real hard to adjust. And my motor was going all the time. Every day on campus, I'm like, what we getting into? What we doing? And they would be like, it's Tuesday. We're just studying. I'm like, let's go, man. We got to do something. So I was on go all the time. I found my pace was too fast for the place.
Okay. So you come back to Detroit. Where's the focus? What are you doing? Definitely glad to shake whatever the trouble was from South Carolina.
Sure.
Back to the crib. Where you at?
I go to Wayne State. Of course. Have a good time. I go to Wayne State. I didn't really go to Wayne State. I went to the student center. I didn't go to the classes hardly. I wasn't into the classes weren't edifying me, I didn't feel like. I just wasn't getting anything from it. I really didn't enjoy it. So I went to college. I went to classes, but I mainly went for this camaraderie in the student center and all of that.
Okay. And what era Wayne State we talking? Like what years?
Don't get me to thinking, but like 90s, late 90s, I want to say.
Okay. So late 90s.
Mid to late 90s, yeah.
Okay. So this is still a campus that before it really starts the promotion and the marketing campaign to welcome a lot of students, this is still the commuter and
definitely.
I would say the already experienced worker going there to probably just
Mhm.
continue their career. Like a
Yeah.
lot of my journey at Walsh, like you're in class with a lot of people in careers saying like, okay, when I get this degree, now I'm going to make X amount more money, or I
Right,
can apply
right,
for this job or whatever.
right.
But it still had a culture around the student center that you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
What was that like? What are you doing on campus? Are you in organizations? What's
Um,
happening?
I wasn't in. I had my toe in organizations, I would say. So I was involved. I would go when there was something going on.
Mhm,
But mainly we would just hang out and do kind of kick it. We did rap. We would rap, do, go play ball, stuff like that.
mhm.
We were just kind of kicking it around campus, but I had my nose into everything.
Okay. All right. So from there, where are you at in life? Period. What's the thought process after that? If Wayne State, South Carolina State, what's your focus and where do you start saying to yourself? Because like we meet around a lot of the book,
Mhm.
eat like you
Mhm.
give a damn.
Right, right.
When are you starting to like hone that information and get that focus?
That came a little later. So after Wayne State, I began teaching. I was doing a lot of teaching and teaching adults computers.
Hmm.
I grew up with computers. My uncle had a computer company, so we knew computers when they first came out. So I took that basic knowledge and was able to work for 5 or 10 years just teaching. I would teach like the city water workers. They would come and do classes. We had a contract, and I would teach them computers and train everybody on using the computer. So I did that for about 5 years, 5 or 10 years.
Okay. All right. And so I'm guessing this is maybe like that late 90s, early 2000s
Mhm,
era when you're
mhm.
doing that.
Yeah.
And this is early on, actually, as the world is really beginning to adopt the internet.
Yeah,
So,
it's new. It's still new at that time.
yeah. So let me frame this for a lot of young people watching this. I know right now you all are thinking to yourself, like, we've had this technology for forever. No, computers were existent like now let's go through time. So computers have been around for decades, like maybe century plus. Um, the personal computer that we know
Indeed.
is something still that's been around for decades, but for many people was no reason to have it unless you're like a business person till the internet comes about,
Right.
right? The internet and these dot coms, it it's seen, it's kinda known, it's really where AI was, I would say, like, in the mid-90s, little bit of the late '90s, so, like, around
Uh-huh.
93, 94, 95,
That's when it
96,
yeah.
97, people are like, "Oh, the internet," and it's like a trendy topic, kinda like what AI is right now.
Right, right. Kind
By
of
about
niche.
2000 and after the Y2K
2K shit, yeah.
scare that people had, it was like, nah, you need an email address and you need a website
Right,
if you're professional. And that's when many people that were on the fence about saying, I don't want nothing to do with computers,
right.
if they still wanted to work, I'm guessing your job had to come into play all.
Yeah, you're right, exactly. Somebody had to learn, yeah.
Yep, yep.
So, yeah, I did that for a while, I loved it. It was, I really loved connecting with the people, cause these people enjoyed it, cause it was like a day off of work for them. They work out in the field, they get to come sit in the office. I always let them out early, let them take lunch longer, so we had a ball in there. So I got a good reputation and had a good career doing that.
Mhm.
The contract ended, and I was kinda feeling my way around. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and my boy gave me an application to the fire department, Detroit Fire Department. I'm like, "Okay, I'll fill it out." Next thing you know, I'm on the fire department.
Wow.
So that happened in 2000 something. I'm sorry, I can't think of the years that good, but
Mhm.
I think in 2000 even, maybe in year 2000, I
Okay.
went on the fire department.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How long do you serve in the fire department?
I did 10 years there.
Wow.
I got hurt. I got forced to retire. Um, but during that time is when the book started developing. Right around my second or third year on the fire department. The fire department, first of all, that's where I learned how to cook, because you got to cook at the firehouse. The youngest guys got to cook, so I had to learn how to cook.
Mm.
So learning how to cook, I learned how to make everything: steak, salmon. I could hook up anything. Chicken breast, I was cooking. You cook for 20, 12, 15 guys. So I learned how to cook very well. But then, and I got big. I was lifting weights. I got up to about 215. I was cock diesel. But I'm like, something was telling me it wasn't right. Like I wasn't feeling right. I started reading, getting health books, some DVDs. My cousin brought me a DVD called The Rave Diet. And somebody else gave me the DVD the same day. They were like, you got to see this DVD. And my cousin brings this DVD to the firehouse. You got to see this. You would like this. So I just took that as a sign when I got them both on the same day. I watched it. It was about, of course, diet and health and all of this. It changed my life. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to try this. Another one of my friends around the same time brought me a colon cleanse. It's called colonics. He said, try this, man. Let's try this out. Let's try this out. Man, I tried that cleanse and that was it. It changed. I was done. Like, that's what really set me on the journey, that cleanse. Of course, I had always been experimenting with vegetarian, but I didn't know it. But I would eat like cheese pizza and a Subway veggie sub, and I thought I was doing something. This was even dating back to Wayne State days because I would experiment with it then, but I didn't really have the education. I didn't know what to eat and what not to eat. And the Little Caesars was right there in the student center. We used to get that crazy bread, extra cheese, extra butter. Bro, the butter would be dripping through the bag, and we loved it like that. You didn't have to open the bag. You tear the bag open and eat them. And I'm like, man, I knew it was doing something to me, but I didn't know what, and I didn't know how to check and balance it. So I just kept experimenting. And then that's when I got to this colon cleanse. This colon cleanse changed my life completely.
All right. So what you speak of has definitely been uplifted through Dr. Brown, Jesse Brown. Shout out to Dr. Jesse Brown, Holistic Center.
Shout out.
And he talks about the number one thing. I wish I could do a Jesse impersonation because sometimes I can do impersonation, but I need to hear. Still need to get it. Yeah, I know. It's like he'd be like, Kurt, something like that. He'd be like, yes, it was the colonics. So that was what he even says. Like, the number one thing that people really were connecting with the Holistic Center was through the colonics and through the different cleanses. So for people to know a colonic, which I guess making it more plain is basically you're clearing out your colon, and it's different steps in what those systems can be. But by clearing out your colon, many of us have, as they say, staying regular. You're not taking a number 2. You ain't shitting. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what it is, because everything's like blocking what's inside us, and you want to stay as regular as possible. And different systems, as people know, especially in aging, what that could be. And diet deals a whole lot with that. I wanted to just expand a little bit in that space of what was it like for you, and how did that just change everything?
Well, what changed everything is what came out, because I'm taking this. So this wasn't a colonic like where you get water and it comes like that's colonic hydrotherapy. This was like a kit. So you take a powder in the morning, you take a pill in the morning, a capsule, and at night you drink a tea. That's it. So in the morning you have a movement and it's explosive. So bro, I started having these movements. My boy was taking it with me. So we would call each other like, what did you see? What did you see? So I think the first one that alarmed me, well, the first thing, it would be different colors and textures. I don't want to be too graphic, but we talking shit now. So
you got to act literally,
literally and figurative. So so it was different textures: dark brown, soft, real soft, light brown, dark brown, medium, caramel. I'm like, dang. So it's a lot coming out every day. So finally one day I get like, bro, a necklace. It's like, looks like intestines and it's connected. It's like I could have picked it up like a necklace. And I'm like, what? I had already flushed the toilet, so I'm seeing it go around and I'm seeing it's connected. It's like it's a string. I'm like, what the hell was that doing inside? What was that doing inside of me? So I'm like, wow, son, that was crazy. If that was blocking my insides, all those twists and turns, I'm like, and after that, I felt like literally like lighter and taller. I'm like, I feel better, man. And this kept occurring day after day. Not the strings. I had 2 necklaces that came out. I had one that was like a 30-footer, bro, wrapped around like this. I'm like, dang. And I'm like, if all of that was inside of me, my body was functioning, it's going to function a lot better now. You know what I'm saying? Like, now it's a lot better. And so that's what changed me. It's like, I don't want to fill the thing back up again.
Okay. So in that change, in that shift, this is also taking place while you are a part of the fire department, which I wanted to like. We're gonna stick a pin in picking up with the colonic and health journey, but also talk about the fire department. And shout out to and rest in peace to Marquise Wooden, one of my best friend Dewan's father, and a lot like a father figure even to me that passed. And I want to even tell the story about that Detroit Phoenix, like some of those first Detroit black firefighters connected to Coleman Young instituting having black firefighters a part of the Detroit Police Department and more being a part of it. And I just knew because I've known Mr. Wooden most of my life. The role of what a firefighter would be and how that would provide opportunities for people to work and also like work in business in different spaces. So like the history of like a Tom Hardiman, a Hester Wheeler, so many other people that I know have done a lot in society. Pastor Grimmett, firefighters, and being a firefighter is not just a noble task, but it also is a task to play a larger role in community. And also, I know people watching this, I already see like it's like a woman like messaging like, and they be on women too. Firefighters, I think more so is I think a lot of ladies like firefighters and firefighters like ladies too. Like I think it's kind of like yes, exactly. But that does exist, and some of the culture of the firehouses. What was it like for you in the experience, in your journey being a firefighter? Because it's a physical test, it's a written test, and you were a part of this class where they were still welcoming a lot of firefighters. But I do remember at certain points it became tougher and tougher to get more fighters on the force, especially young black fighters.
Yeah, my Uncle Earl, in fact, was the 8th black firefighter in Detroit. And I didn't learn that until I was already on the fire department. But he came by and everybody knew him and all of that, and that was cool. But being on the fire department also changed my life because my pops died. My pops died, I think, right after maybe a year or two into when I was on the fire department.
Wow.
As I recall.
Condolences.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. But I think as I recall, I had been maybe a year on the fire department. But it was it gave me a chance to be around a lot of men and a lot of like, giving orders, and you got to follow directions. Shout out to my captain. Captain Smith cussed me out. It's the first time a grown man like cussed me out. And I just had to say, yes, sir. I felt, I'm like, but it was humbling, but it was also gave me some, just to be around the men and to see them, how well they can cook and how many different things everybody could work on cars. These guys knew a lot. So it was just interesting to be around a lot of men. It was like being in a clubhouse almost. So it was a super cool experience for me, especially at that time, having lost my father, having men to look up to and that.
All right. And now let's talk a little bit about just that relationship when we think about housing in Detroit. So one of the things that Mr. Wooden would always say, he's like, most of these fires start because of them damn candles. That's what he would always say. Right. But firefighters and in firefighting, just from Mr. Wooden and being around some of his friends, you all are seeing a lot of just the structures throughout the city of Detroit. And, and interacting with people in some of the largest crises too, similar to the public servants of police in certain ways. I think the biggest difference, as they say, is nobody saying F the fire department.
Right.
They always say that because it's always seen as help, but different job, but you're still interacting with people in times of crises.
Totally, yeah.
How did that impact just like you mentally, staying grounded through that?
I enjoy it. I really enjoyed it because a lot of the guys, it might be a mixed crew. Some guys not from Detroit, but me being from Detroit and connected to it, when we pulled up to an emergency scene, the people they gravitated towards me because maybe the captain is a white guy and he's saying, ma'am, but they would be like, ask me, what's going on? You tell me. Like they trusted me, and I like that relationship and having to be there for it. So I really enjoyed that, and I liked it. I began to feel like a superhero in some regard, like I'm running towards the trouble, and I began to embrace that. I really like, being a part of it.
Yep. And other tips that I remember just from Mr. Wooden about it, it's like he'd always say, it's usually not the fire, it's the smoke inhalation. How did you get in your mind? It's like, okay, fire, and I'm gonna walk towards it.
It's they train you, man. The academy is like it's like a brain. It's almost like a brainwashing in a way. It's like almost like an army. They get you ready for for that type of thing. And then when you get out in the field, the people always say, "Oh, don't listen to what they told you in the academy. You got to eat some of that smoke. Take your mask off, eat some of that smoke, get used to it." So it was crazy. It's kind of an old school mentality. And that also, when I was years in, as I began my health journey, now I'm fighting fires, it became harder for me to do it. I didn't want to be there. No, I don't want to breathe up a car fire no more. Cause I'm like, it's all kind of chemicals burning, plastics and all kind of stuff. And I'm standing here without a mask on, but that was the culture of the job. You don't need a mask for a car fire. But I'm like, no, you need a mask for everything. It began to bother me to be doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's pick up even in that health journey too. So you're a younger man at the time. Anybody that knows, like in that fire academy, I remember the first thing they always say, like, you got to carry these hoses up some steps, and you already got to kind of be in shape to even do that.
Yeah.
So physically, you're in shape, as you say. Like you're basically, you said up to 215
Yeah.
minimal body fat.
Yeah. I was in good shape at the time.
Physically,
Decent.
like what we would visually and I guess physically, aesthetically look at.
Yeah, aesthetically,
That's the term I want to use.
Exactly. Aesthetically, I look to be in good shape. Like a football player, good, kind of bigger, look to be in good shape, and probably was in good physical shape. But internally is where the problems begin. Like all problems begin within. So that's what I began to experience. Now I had experienced a lot of stuff though. Looking back, this is in hindsight. I don't know if I'm jumping off subject, but I'm remembering throughout my childhood, I experienced a lot of health issues that came from eating, but I didn't know. Like allergies, for instance. I had harsh allergies, hay fever, right? Every spring, every fall, I can't breathe. I got to stay up at night. I got to blow my nose. I'm sneezing all day. If somebody's cutting grass, I got to run. It's like that. Now, I thought I had hay fever. I went to the doctor. They say you have hay fever. I come to find out when I'm eating gluten, anytime I eat gluten, I get those symptoms. If I don't eat gluten, I can eat grass. I can lay in the grass. I can roll around. It won't bother me one bit. So that's just something I learned in hindsight, how I guess it speaks to a bigger picture. And forgive me, I'm just thinking in my head now. Now it's my show. No, I'm just kidding.
No, hey, that's what it's for, man. Give the game.
No, but what I'm realizing is the tie between mental health and physical, your digestion and mental health. There's a lot of talk now in urban areas about mental health, but hot Cheetos are part of mental health. If you're eating hot Cheetos and they're getting caught in your body, it can cause you you think all your thoughts come from here, but you really have a mind inside. And that's why that colonics are so good, because you're clearing your mind. This is your mind too. Like you have something told me, or I had a gut feeling. When you're saying that, that's indicative that you have a mind inside of your body as well. And a lot of your thoughts are coming from here. Your immune system is in here. So if your body is clogged up in here, it can't function properly. But I begin to see this. I'm going to bring it home. I'll land my plane with this. Another thing that happened a lot, I get my skin right here would get real red and bumpy and flaky right here, peeling. And it came with the allergies. It came with the symptoms. Now, all of that came from eating, right? But it gave me now I'm out, I'm trying to talk to girls. I'm like, dang, I wonder if they looking at do my shit look funny or whatever. So that's playing in my mind, but it's really coming from eating. If I had just been eating properly, then I wouldn't have had that thought, and who knows what girl I would have talked to or whatever. So I'm just seeing the correlation between how what you eat affects your mental health. It's really a mental health thing. Your body is your mind, in essence.
Okay. What you speak to is one of the content creators. I've uplifted her stuff before.
Okay.
I really like it. Dr. Tracy Marks. Dr. Tracy Marks, she does a lot of videos on a lot of mental health through YouTube, but she's been tying a lot to gut health and mental health in the relationship
I gotta check her out.
You're speaking about, and how both have that relationship. And also one kind of connects to the other too.
Definitely.
As we've even had emotional eating, we've seen it.
All the
you know what
time,
I'm saying?
all
So
the time.
I do think that definitely even in my journey, like people's like, man, Carl, you losing weight and all of that stuff. It's like I always love running. You called me before I run. I run on Sundays and Tuesdays, so I'm gonna
Okay.
run after this because I thought it was later, but here nor there.
Okay.
The diet is definitely big, but I also think like thought process is big. And just like, what do they say? It takes 90 days to develop whatever habits that we're going to develop.
Yeah.
And I'm not you in this space at all, but I'm just speaking from the stuff that I've pulled.
Yeah.
And some of those habits. It's like right now, it's like I'm trying to do as much water as possible because that's what I've told people is at least in the number one weight loss that I've had was just that thought process of drink more water, because a lot of times that I was hearing, you drinking yours too, but a lot of the times that I was thinking that before about 2 years ago, when I heard dehydration, I was thinking it was like, like walking through the desert, like falling out, right?
Right.
But it's like, nah, a lot of times I would be thinking that I'm hungry, but I'm actually dehydrated.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And then it's like really that whole like you should be drinking an ounce of water for every pound that you are
Right.
is real. Now you got to run to the bathroom a whole lot, but then that's like clearing out everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So like I say, I'm not, I'm not taking no Ozempic or whatever, and I'm not saying that drinking water is that or whatever. And most people say I drink a whole lot of water, but I don't know. I could definitely tell you this: it's been a heck of a journey for me. Can you share a little bit on that? What hydration really through water is, and what a person really should be looking at. Because I know I thought I drank a lot of water, but now I drink water, and even certain days I could probably go through 3 of these 64 ounces in a day.
Damn, that's good.
Yep.
Now, water is very important, and most of us, Dick Gregory would say that dehydration is the number one cause of death. Similar to what Jesse says about the colon. So everybody's dehydrated. If we're supposed to drink 1 ounce of water, 1 ounce per pound, very, very, very few people do that. I fell way short of that. But I think the way I supplement is I eat a lot of fruit, and so you can eat a lot of your water too. And that water is a little more structured because I'm an overthinker, as you can tell by my little speech before. But I'm thinking, what kind of water? What kind of water do I drink? Now, am I drinking microplastics? Do I get a filter? I start going through that whole thing. So everything is a rabbit hole for me, unfortunately. But I do think that we need to drink more water, but I think we need to eat more fruit. Like, especially now, watermelon's in season. Some watermelon every day is like drinking several glasses of water, and a structure that goes into your body differently. At least this is my opinion. I heard that Yaki Awakening, is that his name? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. He's a brother. He's saying we don't need to drink that much water. He said we don't need to drink water at all.
Interesting.
He said dogs drink water, and like you got to lap up water if you drink water. He said humans do something different, but that was just his philosophy. But I think that you can eat a lot of your water, but I think we're definitely all walking around dehydrated.
Explain what dehydration does to the body there.
Well, just like you would imagine, just imagine a body of water, because our bodies are bodies of water, but then it's losing water, and the water line is going further, and here come parasites, and here comes bugs, because there's stagnation. There can't be a flow. Whereas if you have an abundance of water, it's waving around, and kids are swimming in it, and birds are coming, and it attracts life. Whereas when it's still and drawing in, then it's attracting death. I don't mean to sound dark, but it's not being able to function. It would be like a car without having enough oil in the engine, right? It can't lubricate. If it's not lubricated, nothing's moving through it. And like we talked about, you have to be moving and keep that body moving and flowing inside.
Okay. All right. So now we can just pick back up on just this journey of you finding out like, okay, moving forward, I don't want to be here again. I don't want this in me. I love this feeling. I feel taller. I feel lighter.
Yes.
This feels good. Where do you go in your journey from that to even getting where you're at now?
Well, like I said, everything's a rabbit hole. So that was a big rabbit hole for me because I'm at the firehouse at the time now. This is a real macho environment.
Yeah.
I told you I was 215. I went all the way to maybe 170. So I lost, I released. I like to say release instead of lose weight, because when you lose something, you want to find it again subconsciously. So I released a lot of weight during that time. So the guys are like, dang, or you like, they like, what you doing?
Are you sick?
Yeah, what's going on? They like, "You getting weak. I don't know if you could take the fire." I used to have to do push-up contests right now. Let's go. Let's do it right now. We'll see who, but I had to prove myself again in a way, but I had to buy all new clothes. I released the weight. It was crazy. But all of that to say, I was challenged a lot every day. What's that you eating? What's that you eating? So I started eating just raw food. I ate raw food for maybe 60 days or something like that. But I felt so good. I couldn't take a nap. I used to take naps at the firehouse. They called me Sleepy Ray at the firehouse. That's how much. I came in there tired because we get paid to sleep in essence. So I'm sleeping all day. But I couldn't sleep at that time. I could not sleep. I started doing projects around the firehouse, and I started writing my book. I started writing Eat Like You Give a Damn, the first one.
Okay.
At that time, right in that firehouse. That's what I would do. Almost all night and all day, I would be working on that book.
All right. So now, what led you to say, okay, I want to write a book about this?
I think it's because I had so much opposition. So many people arguing with me every day. Protein. Everybody I bump into say, where do you get your protein? Blah. I got tired of having the same conversations. And I told you I was reading books too. I would go to the bookstore. I'm looking for a book I could relate to that was written in my voice, and it was no such thing. Mm-hmm. That's when I said, if it's somebody else I want to tell to do this, they're going to need this book. So I created it for a void for people like me and you, average people who just want to get into this. That's not way over your head. Like, I read Dr. Laylo Africa, but it was way over my head. Like, and then I saw him one time. I went to see him. I was scared to ask a question, man. He was mean. It was like I'm like, I don't rock with him, he wasn't cool. So I wanted something that I could really relate to. And so that's when I started creating a book.
Yeah, definitely. Rest in peace, Layla Africa. He is looked at as definitely one of the
genius
masters of holistic science for our community. But I agree with you, and I have his book too. But
I'm still trying to figure it out.
It's like you almost need a couple college courses to get there throughout it.
It is a college course. That book is
it's possibly a degree within itself. And but yes, the way you present information and Dr. Brown present information, but especially your book, it was like, yeah, I can read this. It was almost like I'm picking up. It's like, okay, makes sense. It's very linear. You can do this, you can do that, you can do this. How long did it take to finish the book?
I think it took about 2 years. It didn't take that long, but it took me that long. Going back and forth, fighting over words. I didn't know what I was doing. I just wanted it to be perfect. It wasn't perfect. It was never going to be perfect. So it took about 2 years. I think in 2007, I released the first version of it.
Okay. All right. What was the response?
Great response, actually. Great response. I only had one book event, a big one. It was downtown at an art studio or something, but the fire trucks came, everybody came. It was live. It was a lovely event. So it got a great reception. I wasn't the best marketer though. I don't market the books very well. Then I started taking the books like to barbershops and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Not a good reception at barbershops and shit. They don't like that. One dude, I swear I thought he couldn't read. I mean, no disrespect to him, but the way he looked at me like he wanted to swing on me. I'm holding the book up.
Hilarious.
And I kept it there long because I'm like, do you see this as a book? He looking at it's a pistol or something. I'm like, this is a book. And he looked, but he was like, get out of his face. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't get the greatest response there. And it kind of disappointed me because I wanted to reach my people so bad. I did it for my people. I wanted to reach my people, but they didn't seem, even my friends. So then I started thinking about my friends, my boys from Wayne State, all of that, all my fire friends, all of them. I'm like, I started thinking like, I don't see a bookshelf at their house. I think, I think when I come out with the book, they're going to be like, oh, cool, give me one, everybody, my whole phone going to blow up. It wasn't like that at all. It was more people that I didn't know, but I was just happy to reach somebody with it, and I was glad it was done.
Yep, I meet you in passing. I'm sure you don't even remember, but it is more so when I'm doing more hip hop stuff.
Okay.
And you move in the book, and I want to say that it was LaDonna that was like, yeah, Ray got this book. You need to get in and support. I'm like, yeah, I must just support just on the strength of I like supporting entrepreneurs doing something that's independent. That's the hip hop in me.
That's what's up.
But then I actually was thumbing through the book one day, and I'm like, yo, it's some good stuff in here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah. I was like, this is like, it's written in a language, which great title, I think too, that you can connect. similar to the way that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad makes Eat to Live very plain. But that still has like a different voice, and it's no offense even to that book and what that's been even for our people
That's been a
and many
great
people
book.
in the nation.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like more along that line, but like of like, okay, like
Yeah.
you're talking to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
exactly, exactly.
You know.
It's conversationally written. That's the only way I know how to do it. That's the only way I know how to write. And excuse me, at one time I began to not like the title because people would be like, "Eat like you give Mr. Eat like you give a damn," like it just began.
Hilarious.
I would start hearing it too much. I'm like, okay, it's a book behind there. It's not just a cool title that you just. I wanted the people to say it's a a good collection of book in there too. So I was worried people like too into the title or whatever. But I've grown to come with it though.
Yeah, definitely. So what else has been like the reception since that book? Where do you get I guess you said also the injury happens
Mm-hmm.
and you leave the fire department.
Mm-hmm.
Where's your mindset at with that? Now you're completely in a healing space, learning more about healing. Do you
Yeah.
take that into the healing from the injury that you have?
Definitely, definitely. Just my whole theory on cleansing and the body working. Like I believe the body can heal itself. I've always believed that. Like at that time I broke my wrist
Mm,
and they wanted to fuse my wrist together where I wouldn't be able to move it. I'm like, no, it's no way possible. Like I'll just rather just whatever, I'll deal with the pain, whatever. And eventually it became like normal again.
mm,
And I believe that the body can heal itself. And so I just kept to those principles. I really started getting into stones and crystals at that time. I
mm,
would put stones on my wrist. And I just got further into studying. I really got studying became my job, so to speak.
mm,
I began to study and read a lot and just learn a lot. I moved to Miami at the time.
mm.
And living in South Beach, there's so many people from different cultures of the world. So I just began to learn from different cultures and Argentinians and Brazilians, and they had different crystals and they had different ceremonies they would do, and it was super cool.
Okay. All right. Now let's talk a little bit about that culture in Miami. So we're talking what era Miami?
2012, 13 or something like
Oh, the
that.
LeBron James championship Miami.
No, maybe before that then. LeBron wasn't there yet. This is right
Okay.
pre-LeBron. This
Like
was
right pre-LeBron.
right pre-LeBron.
Okay.
The Pistons were still pretty good then.
Okay. All right. All right. So that's Shaq-ish Miami.
Yeah.
All right. So now in that era, what is you talk about South Beach? What's Liberty City? How are you connected to the culture? Because
No Liberty City. I didn't leave the beach.
you didn't leave the
The
beach.
few times I went to the hood is scary as hell in Miami. I went a couple times and it was like I didn't feel, Detroit can fit in anywhere. That's one thing I love about Detroit, anywhere. But in Liberty, when I got to like all those places, I'm like, It was just I felt I didn't want to be alone in those environments. It was rough. Little Haiti, the Haitians were like they had a scary vibe about them. They kept the house real dark. They had like little voodoo dolls. It was just weird to me, like it was a little foreign to me, and I wasn't ready for that. So I'm like,
So you just stay really in South Beach.
stayed on South Beach.
So staying in South Beach, as they say, definitely one of those places of opulence. What was that like culturally?
It's not much culture there. It's like once you dive into it, it's a lot of Cuban influence and that, but it wasn't much culture. It became shallow to me. It became shallow, but I loved it for the time, and that's where I finished the book. Like I started in the firehouse, I get injured, and I finished the book in South Beach. So maybe that's why it took me 2 years, because that I was South Beaching a lot of that time too.
Okay.
Then whenever somebody comes see you, it's party time, right? It's like everything stops at that time and it's party time. So that might have slowed me down. But the beach didn't have a lot of culture that I could really get into. I met Bob Marley's people, some of his descendants. And we were linking up trying to do a documentary. She was really fiery. She wanted to do a documentary outside McDonald's and like interview people like, why are you eating this? And blah. And it was real revolutionary, but we just didn't connect on it. Nothing really came of it.
Okay. All right. So back to the D. What brings you back?
What brings me back to the D? Why did I leave that beach? I went a few other places, but what brought me back to the D was family. My mother's getting older now, and I just wanted to be around family and that. So that brought me back to the D. And really, my book, the first Eat Like You Give a Damn, was for Detroit. It was like a resources where you can go to this restaurant, you can go. So I really wanted to be a guru in this area, but it didn't get the reception that I wanted in that regard. And that could have been partially my fault too. Like I didn't push my books enough, like because I got a lot of other projects too that I think are really amazing projects. So I'm just getting back into the books, to tell you the truth. I left and went to Atlanta and started selling products. I started doing sea moss gels. So selling products is a lot more. It's like, here, I sell you the product, I get the $30. It's like a lot more gratifying, and it's a lot less salesy. Like you don't have to convince people to buy it like a book. Then if you buy the book, you got to read the book. So it's like another step. So people weren't getting my messages. So now I left that business and I'm just reopening the book business again.
So products, sea moss gel, you there. What are the other products you make and what do people respond to?
I got sea moss gels. I had sea moss capsules, sea moss bladderwrack and burdock root capsules, and then start doing some other spinoffs. I tried sea moss popsicles for one summer. That was cool. It was harder work than the profit reward was worth it or whatever, but I thought that was a cool project. So I was into that, and I made a seasoning salt. Before all of that, while I was still in Detroit, I made the Abundant seasoning salt. The best seasoning salt in the world. I'm going to remake it again. The only reason I stopped making it is because I would find this African cayenne pepper that was a special heat index, and I wanted to have that, and I couldn't find it anymore, so I just cut the whole project. But I'm into it like that. It's like a craft artwork to me. And I would tell people what time I made it, what music I was listening to at the time, and I wanted people to bring more than just a product into their home, but a vibe into their home. When I first started the sea moss gels, I put crystals on top of the gels, because I want you to bring more than just a product in your home. Somebody said to me once, too bad I'm at festivals selling books and products. Everybody's buying the products. The seasoning salt, they selling out the gate. The books, people look at them, put it down. Look at them, put it down. So I'm disappointed. And somebody told me, it's too bad you can't take everything you putting in them books and put it in these products. But I said I can. And so I started putting all the principles, that's why I gave a crystal. I really want to make it more than just a product. So I try to make every ingredient special. I use Baja Gold sea salt. That's the best sea salt in the world. It's way better than Himalayan pink sea salt. But I will research this stuff because I want to make the best products I can make.
That's deep. And the money for all of this, what's you're investing, are you your loan investor? Is this all the money that you have from the firehouse? What's the investment in all of this?
I'm investing everything and not really profiting. I'm not really profiting. I'm probably breaking even, or I might do a show or two and maybe get ahead, but I didn't have a good business sense in that regard. Like, all I know is I want the best product on the market. And the price, I had to let the price meet the price couldn't justify the product because people aren't going to pay it, I know my people, they're not going to pay $30 for a seasoning salt. It has to be, it was $10 and people was cussing at me about that.
Hilarious.
You know what I'm saying? So even my own family cussing at me about that. $10. And I'm like, $10, this cost probably to produce it probably cost $15 or $12 or whatever, or $9 at least. So I didn't have a good sense of scaling a business like that. I just knew I wanted the best. I felt like one day it would all come together,
I got you. All right. So now where do you stand? What are the projects you're working on?
Okay. So now I've re-released all of my books. In my life, I've probably written close to 20 books.
You got a couple with you today. You can show some of them.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'm re-releasing all the books anyway, because now color printing is a lot more affordable. So it's a good time for me to revise all the books and bring them out in full color. This is one of them, An Easy Intro to Stones and Crystals. Amazing book. If you're into stones and crystals, even if you're not, if you want to get into stones and crystals, it's a perfect book. It profiles some crystals, profiles some way to use them. Even the wedding ring, for instance, a quick story, the wedding ring. Right? So people read a wedding ring, ooh, girl, let me see that rock. You got that big rock, let me see it. It would be like what I describe in the book. It's like having a MacBook computer and saying, ooh, I got a new MacBook, and just showing the MacBook, not even opening it to turn it on. You're not even using the power. So I'm saying you got that wedding ring, use the power of it as a tool in your marriage. When you need to manifest something, when you need to pay for something, when you need to create a new business, use that ring, program that ring together under the moonlight and create that. That's what it's for. It's not just to be a rock and look pretty. You're like not using it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's a little bit of that book. This book, bro, the Best Damn Prostate book. You know this book? This is your book. I'm gonna give you this. I'm gonna sign it to you.
There we go.
I'm gonna give you a couple of these out of this box. I got a big ass box. You can have a couple of them.
Okay, respect.
This is the Best Damn Prostate book. I think every black man should have this book. I wrote this book because this is right about the time I'm getting out of the fire department when I'm dealing with the medical for the hand. I might have been turning 35 or 40, whatever the age is when you got to go get the checkup. You know, men got to go get your checkup. So I didn't know what people was talking about, but they're talking about the prostate check when they like put a glove on and feel around to feel the size of your prostate. So I don't know if I did it or if I was so opposed to it that I'm like, it's got to be a better way. And that's how this book came about. I'm like, nobody has to stick their finger in my ass for me to figure out if I'm healthy or not. I'm going to learn some others. So I learned some checks and balances. I learned how to diagnose myself and even medicate myself. And I'm drinking teas. I drink saw palmetto tea or whatever regularly just to keep it a part of my system. I made a capsule too, Best Damn Prostate capsule.
Okay.
I got to get you that. All right. I'm almost done here. Now this book is way slept on. People get shut eye on this, but this is eye care. It's eye health in the technology age. So we're looking at screens from 9 to 11 hours a day on average now.
Me, definitely more.
Me too. I'm guilty of it just as well. So it's a hard challenge on our eyes. So it's something that we have to adjust to. I think 3 out of 4 kids will wear glasses at some point in life. So that's something we got to look up to. An interesting thing about this book, just for a tip, but it's better book than it seems. Like I wouldn't read an eye book either. Who wants to read an eye book? But it's a great book. It talks about the eye being the strongest muscle in the body, and the eye being a visible part of our brain. It's the only visible part of our brain. 80% of what we learn comes through our vision. But I think that no workout routine talks about exercising the eye, and that's something we definitely need to exercise if it's our biggest muscle. And cleaning it. There's the eye cleansing cup, and you can wash your eyes. Nobody talks about washing your fucking eyes, and we use them so much. We demand so much of them, but we're not taking the time to take care of them. So that's what this book is all about. Dope. It's a good concept.
Yeah.
All right. Almost done here. Now this one, Products of Our Environment, just re-released originally in 2015. This is the first book I did. This was my favorite book of all time that I did, Products of Our Environment. It's a dope book because it talks about products that we use, how we clean our bathroom.
Yeah.
75% of environmental toxins we're exposed to come from inside the home. So we're really poisoning ourselves. There's a book called Cleaning Ourselves to Death that I referenced when I did this book. It's a great book too, but it talks about how dangerous those products are. But then the book goes into the products that we don't use, the crystals, even the moon itself. So if we're doing a new project, we should start on a new moon just to be aligned with the universe around us, right? When it's a full moon, we're at our highest power. So we should, or if it's a full moon in a certain sign, we should take advantage of that energy because that energy is in the air. So it just talks about how we can take advantage of other products of our environment that are natural products that we ignore. Like the dandelions, for instance, right now, right? Dandelions are growing everywhere right now. We sprayed a fucking weed killer on it. Dandelions are a tonic to clean our liver and clean our body out after a long winter time of eating. That's why they grow right now. If they grow more abundantly in your yard, then you need them. Your yard responds to what you need because it's so close to you. That's how much the earth is connected with us, but we're not connected with the earth. And we walk right past the dandelions to go get something at the drugstore to help us with something when the dandelion's growing right here, like, here, I'm here to help you. You know, so that's what Products of Our Environment is about the products that we use and the products that we ignore.
Okay.
All right. So it's a dope concept. Even on the cover, a quick story too, I did the cover on AI. I love AI, by the way, but I'm back and forth on it. But anyway, the cover is showing the number one lotion. You know, the number one lotion doctor hospital recommended is, I don't want to say the brand name, but we all know the lotion that's in a pink bottle. You know what I'm saying? But if you look at the ingredients of that, man, you can't put those ingredients on a baby. And if you do, it's almost like you do suede shoes. You're putting these chemicals on it to repel nature. You're teaching that baby's body in the hospital to repel nature and not not accept nature, you know? So it's a heavy concept. We can go deeper on that later. I'll leave it on that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And this is I say this one for last. Now this is my latest book, and it's Today's Nigger is Yesterday's Wild Indian. This is yours too. Another. Now, how much would you pay?
Now that's definitely an interesting title. What is the get down to that?
So Today's Nigger is Yesterday's Wild Indian. This is talking about, first of all, the cover. Where's the camera? Oh, so cover depicts Lake Lanier. You know the story of Lake Lanier, Georgia?
Definitely.
So the cover depicts Lake Lanier, and you can see underwater it's like a town, but on top they're jet skiing and having a ball. Underneath there's a town, a decayed town that's drowned, which is actually the story of Lake Lanier. So this goes on to tell a story that there's almost 200 towns in America that have that story. 200 towns. So I'm saying, wait, there were 200 black towns in America? Wait a minute, I have to do more digging. So I do more digging. And this book is based off a speech by Ron March. I don't know if you're familiar with Ron March. Ron March was from Cleveland, from Ohio, but he moved to Detroit. So he was a longtime Detroiter. He used to be on 7 Mile and they would give speeches. He was a teacher, but he's a hell of a teacher. So it's his words, like I have his words in red. So I really just copied the speech that he said, and then I gave some commentary on the speech. But it breaks down how a lot of American towns were stolen. And let's just take the case of a sundown town. You know what we call a sundown town. Before it was a sundown town, it was a black town. They come in with the mob and run everybody out the town. Get out of here, nigger, whatever. Get out of here. They get them out the town, right? Now the town's abandoned. So they take over the town. It becomes a sundown town. They never own the town. They don't own the houses. They don't own the land. They took it. It was abandoned. But we're still the owners of it. So technically, we can go back through the courts and take the land back. That's ours. A lot of us have land. Like I said, my family, I found a land in Montgomery. A lot of us have land, and it might be a college, LSU. All of these big universities are operating on our land as we speak. They never owned the land. They just took it of eminent domain. They took it because nobody was there, but we can still go back and take that land. So that's what a lot of this book talks about. So it goes pretty heavy, but it goes into the land of America.
Well, definitely the whole concept is often uplifted culturally. This concept of owning land itself is such a one of those key arguments in capitalism that I'm adamantly against, because land, to come to a space and a place where people have not even recognized land as something that could be owned and then impose ownership on it, that is destructive, extractive, and oppressive. The three that I often uplift is not through the lens of capitalism, but the lens of this society, the lens of American society, which is a part of a larger society of Western civilizations. And these are arguments I've had, and shout out to Baba Malik, over the years with my Baba Malik Detroit is Difference, where people are like, oh, Kari's a fan of capitalism. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just saying that any of these systems that we look at, how resources are distributed, are very extractive, destructive, and oppressive to our people. Now, capitalism, one of the key arguments I have against that, where I am one to say, yeah, this is wrong. So, as I say, this is stolen land, it's stolen labor, and it's a stolen loan that founds America. But the stolen land piece itself is really tough, because a lot of the laws are based on the precedent in this nation. And our precedent in our laws, quote unquote, laws of the land, when the land itself was always stolen to begin with. Even the whole concept of the Louisiana Purchase, as they say, meaning that basically everything west of the Mississippi, which is probably, maybe 80% of this nation. Right. So 80% of the United States of America is quote unquote given in the Louisiana Purchase. And that Louisiana Purchase is conceptually land that France was planning on colonizing before Dessalines and Toussaint L'Ouverture and the brothers and sisters in Haiti overthrew what was happening in the parish of Haiti. But at the time, it wasn't even Haiti. It was, I forget what they even call it, the combination between Haiti and the Dominican Republic, where they were overthrown. And then in that overthrow, that led to Napoleon and the French army saying that we don't want any piece of that hemisphere anymore. So we will have a Louisiana Purchase, meaning we'll sell the rest of this land to America, the United States of America itself, right? Hence, as I've talked about this, Detroit was part of the French colony at one point in time. So like this whole concept of Louisiana Purchase to sell land that no French soldier has even been stepped foot on to colonize itself. Is the psychosis that we have to live in, and this whole concept when you say you can question it. And oftentimes the land itself, when we look at like these natives and these Africans, how would they be colonized like this? Because in the value systems of our culture, land is not an entity to be owned itself, even the whole concept of ownership. So you're talking in two different from two different realities. So let me make it more plain in my classic car analogy, right? Like I often say, just from the lens of any form of job interview, as I say, like if you told a black person into this culture that we're stepping into, when we go through these structures to get up and do the electric slide, we'll do it. Right. So it would be the same way. It'd be like, hey, you can own this land as long as your family can come down here and do a cookout and y'all do the electric slide.
Right.
We'd be like, oh man, that ain't nothing. Right. Because that's our culture. That's what we do.
Right.
You say that to these same white folks and they say like, whoever does it best, we gonna win. They'd be like, this doesn't make any sense. Why does that even make sense? Dancing, being something to get a home. And that's how money, banking, these monetary systems, insurance, interest, all of these other vehicles and entities of their machine look like to us.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just the lens in which we culturally understand it. So I just want to uplift the fact that like land ownership and really looking at that kind of to laws. And I'm not an attorney, though people think that I want to be one. But I do understand when you and anybody that's ever bought any property before and you going through those sheets and you signing and even the stuff we doing, cleaning up the deeds of people that have passed and the descendants and who that goes to and cleaning that up and getting them to sign off on stuff. A lot of this stuff deals with ownership of land.
Yeah.
And then furthermore, the ownership of property on top of land that you talk about.
Right.
But all of this stuff is a farce to begin with because it's all stolen.
It's all stolen to begin with, yeah.
So that's where, like, when people say, you know, one of the biggest arguments now, like, people like, this president is the worst president ever. And I'm like, what president was good when we think of the United States of America?
What's the difference?
Car review. Now, I'm definitely not saying that certain things coming from, I don't even know what is it, Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C., and that White House that was built by enslaved black people and the architecture design from enslaved black people. I'm not saying that he does not present kind of like the aesthetic. He doesn't present communicative and media perspectives that are very harmful and destructive to many people. But when I think of the inner workings of this whole American machine itself and what it's always been, it's always been based in gangsterism.
It's founded in that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's founded in that. That's what it is, actually. It tells a great story in here. One thing he says, Ron March says, is that about alloidial titles. You heard of that?
Mm-mm.
This is alloidial, pardon me, alloidial title to land. But he's saying that white folks can't own a alloidial title. So that's why they made up deeds and plots and all of these things. These all those terms and technologies. I'm into terminologies. I'm into consumer law right now.
Yeah.
And consumer law, I heard you say something about law. People think you want to be a lawyer. First of all, ignorance of the law is no excuse. So I encourage everybody to have a law dictionary. Why not have a law dictionary in your home just for reference? In case you do get in some trouble, at least you have something you can reference, because the words we use in language aren't the same in law. As you would know, legal is a whole definition, like there are public libraries and there are legal libraries. And they're different for a reason because the words mean different things. So I encourage everybody watching, just please get a Black's Law Dictionary and just have it at your home for reference. It's important, especially as a person of color in this country.
Yeah, I love that you share that, and I definitely went on one of them long Kari rants, but I just wanted to frame that. So I know you have some more books you were going to show.
Oh yeah, I got some more, but I want to show you one thing in this book. This will trip you out too, because I heard you mention. I just watched this the other day. Hold on 1 second. Just take 1 second.
Yeah, no sweat.
You can edit this part.
No. We gonna stay going, man. That's Detroit is different. It's
right.
like you thumbing through the book. The man knows his stuff.
Right. I think I do.
He did not get a ghostwriter.
Right. Oh yeah. This is no chat GTP, by the way. I wrote all these words. No
he knows it.
No chat GTP.
Yeah.
This picture away. I'm gonna show you this. Okay, this. Everybody knows this character, right?
Stephen and Django.
Stephen and Django, right? Everybody knows him, man. Who was he? He's the villain in Django, or the quintessential house nigga, if you will, right?
Yes.
So what I found interesting, if you watch Django, the first scene in this book, Ron suggests that he was the original owner of the Candyland. Mm-hmm. And I think he's the owner. What's he talking about? But if you go back and watch the first scene of Django, it's late at night. He's got a candle burning and he's writing checks. He's like sitting at the desk writing checks. So I'm like, damn, if he's a slave, why is he sitting writing checks? How can he write? First of all, why is he sitting writing checks? He knows the accounting of the plantation. So I'm like, wait a minute. So maybe that does make sense that he has. And I noticed that he mentioned the Leonardo DiCaprio. I can't think of his name. What's his name?
Mr. Candy.
He knows Mr. Candy's father because when Django and them first came to stay, he's like, them niggas ain't staying in the big house or whatever. You know, it's like his self slipped out for a second. He's like, them niggas can't stay here. And then he's like, oh, your father would be turning over in his grave. Like your father. So he knew his father. So he's been around here for long enough before this Candy even existed probably and been on that land and all of that. So it just speaks to a larger point of, our people don't look at, whenever we hear plantation, we think we were the slaves on the plantation, never think we're the owners of the plantation. But in fact, there were a lot of owners of plantations that were people of color and a lot of land. That's why I'm saying our tie to the land is different than we've been led to believe. And so that's what the book speaks to.
I definitely have had many professors speak on the dynamics of things in what enslavement and the atrocity of enslavement was, but it definitely was a cultural system that sometimes having a linear lens of right now looking at it is different. Similar to, it's hard to think back to yourself that like you could have a class teaching computers that could run for 5 years. Like it's hard to like now because you're thinking so much of things today. And go back to then. So culturally, just having understandings of those dynamics are very key.
Very well said. And the last book, now this is the most important book. Forget all these other books. No, don't forget the other books.
Hilarious.
The 9-Day Raw Food Challenge. Change Your Life in 9 Days is called, the 9-Day Raw Food Challenge. So this was something that I made up for my family, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, let's do a 9-day raw food challenge for our grandmother, right? Mm-hmm. The same Big Mama that we talked about earlier. Well, her birthday is coming up June 2nd, and I'm like, this would be a good time for us to do a thing. So now I think it's a good time to do it. But it turned into a whole program where I'm saying 9 days of raw food. What's so significant about raw food is that it helps to clean the inside. So this is like doing a colon cleanse without buying any products, right? Without having to buy a kit, without having to go lay on the table. You're just going to eat raw foods for 9 days. And it's going to help to clean your inside out. And it's going to even furthermore and more importantly, help you forge a relationship with your body because your body's going to be craving stuff, right? It's like, I'm hungry as hell. What's up? Let's get something. And you're going to infer the message to your body, we're cleansing right now. I want you to release. You're going to lay still. Your head is going to hurt a little bit because you'll be hungry and you'll think you're weak, but you're not weak. You're going through a surgery in essence. You're giving your body time to alleviate old stuff and adjust to the new season. And then after the 9 days, you're going to eat stuff that's coming into season, like the watermelons and the cantaloupes and the honeydews that are coming in season right now. And that will help align you with nature. So it's an awesome program. It also has a lot of exercises, like you go barefoot in the grass, you go hug some trees, you write down some goals with pen and paper just to get out of the computer screens and get back into pen and paper. So it gives you a lot of things to think about. It gives you a lot of breathing exercises because breathing alone can help reset your nervous system. So throughout this program, in just 9 days, I'm saying you'll have a life-changing experience. And I really believe that to be true because it happened for me. And most of the people that have done it have done more than 9 days. They're like, man, I feel amazing. The first 4 days are terrible. After that 5th day, they wake up and they're like, man, I feel so much energy. So, I got such great reports. So that's something that I'm pushing right now. I got an online course, the 9-day raw food challenge. And I really would love if people can put that into their regular routine. Like spring is here, let me do my 9-day raw food. And fall is coming, let me do my 9-day raw food. And I think that's something that could extend the length of our lives, literally, because it really realigns your thought process. Because if you think about it, you can go like 30 days, 3 months maybe without eating and you'll live. You can maybe go 3 days without water and you'll be fine. But if you go 3 minutes without breathing, 4 or 5 minutes, you're out of there. So that's how important breath is. So I think this helps realign your priorities. Like you think, I got to wake up and think I got to eat. No, you think I have to breathe. I'm going to take 9 deep breaths in the morning. I'm going to blow out. I'm going to get I'm going to look at the sky. Before I look at my phone, I'm going to look at the sky and look at the clouds and hear the birds and reconnect yourself with nature and remember that you're part of a bigger, grander system.
Okay. I love it. With that being said,
there it is.
At the end, how do people connect with you?
We can reach me at raystonebooks.com, and feel free to shoot me email or whatever, and we can link up. I can do consultations on this too and talk people through it. I would love if families could do it together, and I'm definitely willing to do consultations. In fact, you could reach out to me. I'll give my number. I got a business line. It's not my main number. 313-559-6200.
Okay.
313-559-6200 if you want to do a consultation, or you can schedule it on the website. I'm trying to get my calendar set up like yours. It's sweet.
Got you. Yeah. So, last questions. Detroit is different classics. Your very first car, year, make, and model, year you got it.
A 1987 Chrysler Cordoba.
Okay.
A V8. I got it in 1988 or something like that.
Okay. All right. What was the first place you went when you got it?
Belle Isle, probably. I don't know that, but I know that,
Okay. All right. That's cool. I'm guessing Chrysler because granddad.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. You're the DJ at the end of the fireworks. Woodward and Jefferson. You get to play 2 songs. What songs you playing?
Oh, man. I'm playing Happy Feelings in the Air for the first one. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to play like George Clinton, one of those rock out George Clinton funkies.
Okay. All right. And last question. If you could rename Woodward after one Detroiter, who would it be and why?
Damn, that's a good question. After one Detroiter, I would say I'm a basketball guy, so I'm gonna say Isaiah Thomas.
I'm with it.
Just because Zeke did it all, Zeke did it all.
I'm with it. We love Isaiah. I love Isaiah. I think pound for pound, the best basketball player ever.
Period.
Doesn't get the credit he deserves because of the marketing machine growing with the Michael Jordan at the time.
Exactly.
But amazing.
Man, come on. Zeke did it all. And he talked too. He didn't just play. Matter of fact, and before I know we're closing, but that's the first thing that I wrote publicly that I would share with people is an article about Isaiah Thomas.
Wow.
And that's what made me think I'm going to be a writer, because I love the article so much I would just carry it around my backpack. And like, wow. Look at this.
There you go.
There it is, Isaiah Thomas.
Woodward
Avenue. Let's rename it.
I love it. With that being said, thank you so much, Mr. Stone.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it. Peace and love, bro.
Peace.
Detroit is different. Detroit is different.